Hey everyone, there's a new video game coming out. It is a fan service game for the Nintendo Switch and PC. Specifically, it'll come out on Steam. It is called Bunny Garden 2. You may have heard about Bunny Garden 1. It came out in 2024. A lot of VTubers were actually playing it, but then, a lot of that has been privatized. I guess YouTube wasn't too happy with the content, I suppose. But you can find clips of, fan made compilations and stuff of VTubers playing that game. But basically, if you don't know what the game is about, basically it's like a dating sim sort of thing where you go to like a hostess bar and then you can chat up various girls that work there. And then, there's like mini games and all kinds of fan servicey stuff. And it was pretty popular. And now there's going to be Bunny Garden 2. The interesting thing with the sequel is that there's more characters and everything's just more expanded upon. Basically, as it's kind of as if it had, the first game had a patch and it's just brought more functionality, and that's kind of what it looks like, except it's its own game. Because people did complain that Bunny Garden 1 was a little bit bare bones, I guess you could say. There was only 3 characters, for example. But now there's more. There's 6 characters now. And yeah, let's take a quick look at that. There's a trailer and also some text and also some things on the website we should take a look at here. It'll come out spring 2026, so that's very good. Unfortunately, there's going to be censorship on the Switch version, so that's very important. And the PC version is going to be like the normal one, and then there's stuff on the Switch that's a little bit different, and the website actually states that. By the way, you may think that, hey, I've seen some footage of a game called Dream Club, and yeah, they do look quite similar, these games, don't they? Dream Club was published by D3 Publisher back in the day. There's a couple of games. And Bunny Garden is like a clone, but the creator of Bunny Garden, is it Curate or Curate? I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a weird way of spelling a word that looks like it could be curate and create at the same time. I think there was some sort of connection before with those companies, so some people who may have worked on Dream Club may have been involved there. But it looks like there's some more Dream Club stuff making its way over to Bunny Garden. I'm not going to read the entire description of the game there, but basically I already told you about it. It does say it takes place in an alternate universe compared to the first game. So, since it has the first 3 characters, if you have some sort of, attachment or something to the first 3 characters, you're like, oh no, all that was for nothing. And, does that mean, that they're lovey-dovey with every any guy that's just spending money on them or whatever? Yeah, to avoid that sort of thing, they just said, hey, it's an alternate universe, which is kind of funny. But yeah, the story is basically the same. In the beginning there, it says Haito Kanda, and then name interchangeable, lost his job due to a major mistake at work and had fallen into despair over everything. Just as he was heading into his usual cheap pub to drown his sorrows, a woman suddenly spoke to him, noticing his dejected expression. And then there you go into the club or hostess club thing, Bunny Garden, and then there you go. In terms of the gameplay, you have to make money, and then you spend it on various things. You figure out what their favorite drinks are, and you got to navigate through dialogue and things like that. There's a section here on system, it says. That's some game mechanics there. There's some stuff I already talked about. But one of the new things in Bunny Garden 2 is that it says here, each cast member has their own signature song. You might find yourself captivated by that lively girl's energetic performance. So yeah, that's one of the big things from Dream Club, that, they had songs and there was stuff going on with that. And now they have that here as well. I never played Dream Club, by the way, but I've seen footage because I was curious about that game. Other things that have changed are some of the games. So it looks like you can now, with those games that you can play the Twister and things like that, you can now have 2 characters with you there at the same time. And then there's also this photo thing there also with 2 characters. There's some new games too. It says here new gentlemen's games are now available. I like how they call them gentlemen's games. ASMR in blindfold tag. I don't know exactly what that means. No peeking karuta, and the forbidden open wide game where you feed and be fed. And other risque games will shake your rationality to its core, is what the website says there. I don't really know what blindfolded tag means exactly. And then there's also the VIP room, which makes an appearance again. So that's like a private booth. It mentions again that there is a VIP exclusive ASMR. So I guess that's like another ASMR thing that is, part of the VIP room experience. It looks like there's also changes to the system of, having jobs and things like that. I can't quite remember how it works. It was in 2024 when I played it. And can't remember the exact details of how the gameplay works anymore. Hilariously, you can do stuff like extreme stuff that you never should do in real life in that situation, which is sell all of your stuff to get more money. So you can sell your furniture, for example, and then don't do that in real life. It's probably not a good idea. And then there's something called PTA, which is Panties Tactically Acquired, is what it's called, and it's a system. I don't know. They call it a system. Basically, it says there's 200 plus types of panties, and the girls will wear different ones on different days. And it also mentions that if you gift them panties or black stockings, for example, that they might wear them. So I'm pretty sure that was kind of a thing, anyways. If you remember, maybe post in the comments there. It seems like that was partly already in there somehow, but I can't remember there being 200 plus. Here's the important thing, though, when it comes to the censorship. If you go on the website, there's something called feature comparisons. Basically, just scroll down, you'll see it. There's a chart. It'll tell you the difference between the Nintendo Switch version and the Steam version, with the Nintendo Switch version being the censored one. So it says when preparing drinks, under where exposure is limited, where it is full on the Steam version. When it comes to the mini games, there is limited camera movement on the Switch, and you can do whatever you want. It seems like on the Steam version there, it says free when it comes to camera movement. Open wide game expression, so the tongue isn't out to make it less suggestive, I suppose. It almost seems like it doesn't make a difference, but you have tongue out enabled, it says on the Steam version. And then there's two strange ones with the photo poses. It doesn't show you what the pose looks like, it just gives you a description. But they're finger guns and the slightly interestingly called bag shot, which I just presume is from behind, since that's supposed to be, it's a pose, isn't it? Anyways, there's no finger guns and no back shot poses. The finger guns seem, I don't know, like, that seems like such a weird thing to censor. It's like, what's wrong with making guns with your fingers? Are they so picky about that? Like, this seems like, that's stuff that Nintendo cares about in the Super Nintendo days, not now. Jeez. And a karaoke thing, it will say skirts will cover certain areas for some poses. No limitations in the Steam version. You can actually, I'm pretty sure you can actually see a bit of there's like a gradient that turns to black. That's what it looks like in the image there. And then it also says visuals for some events, underwear/skin exposure is limited. But it doesn't show an example there either. Probably because that's like unlockable stuff, right? So in other words, long story short, get the Steam version, not the Switch version. In a way, this looks like Bunny Garden 2 is what Bunny Garden 1 should have been in the first place, but you know how it is. It's probably like a budget thing. They didn't have the budget to go, hey, let's put all of this functionality in here. But yeah, now it looks like they had the money to basically make the definitive version of this game, which is in the form of Bunny Garden 2. It does say it will be spring 2026, no specific date, and it says the price is $24.99. That's presumably US dollars. Languages are Japanese, English, traditional Chinese, and simplified Chinese, but voicing is all Japanese. There is something very interesting to mention, though. Even though the website kind of doesn't really show all of the characters, like you only see the first three, which is Kana, Rin, Miyuka, and then there's Erisa, which is the new character. There's two that are blacked out, though you can kind of, you can see them in press releases and other screenshots. But if you just do right click inspect, I can't figure out how to find out what their names are, but you can actually find their portrait images by just, changing the image file from character 05 to character 06 and, that sort of thing. So, or rather it's character 05 and 06. Those are the other two characters there. So the one that we do see here, Erisa, she's apparently like a Tsunda kind of character. It says right here. I mean, she does have the twin tails going on. She, she points in a way it's Tsunda character would with that expression there. It says trending with her backside, question mark. What does that mean? She has a fat ass? Is that what they're saying? And then the other not yet unlocked images there of, character number 5. It doesn't, I don't know what her name is, but it says bringing shadows and smiles, the bewitching bunny. She has like some pink hair going on. She does look a little bit like a more mature type. And then character 6, she has like a little bat thing in her hair, and then she has like an orange color, so she has like a Halloween theme to her overall. Little fangs, and it says a mischievous bunny who confuses you with her secretive smile. So yeah, if I missed anything that you know about Bunny Garden 2, then, just post in the comments below. I'm pretty sure I covered most of the things that are important there. I'm quite interested to see how the game will be. I probably should play Merry Bunny Garden. That's the one where they walk around drunk and cause chaos in town. It seems like that's pretty funny. I hope it's going to be good. I hope that they fix the whole low resolution thing. That was kind of stupid that it was running at such a low resolution, that first game. But yeah, that's that. I'll let you know if there's some more updates on the game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.